Hey, you know what I'm gonna eat? Some eggs. Probably scramble them today though. Actually, I've been drinking cacao, but the truth is I don't really like it. It doesn't taste good. I don't know, it's weird. I think coffee. Maybe I can do something with cacao to make it taste better. If you put dairy in it or creamer or something, but that's not good for you. Not as good for you anyway. To the car. I have 2 of those pads. I'm trying to decide which one to keep. One of them can go for sure. Yep. Hey, Tina says she wants the bar stools, but she doesn't want the TV thing. She doesn't want the table, so get rid of that. I'm gonna go to Salt Lake later. I need to get into someplace that will take back Amazon stuff today too. I filled my car yesterday. Again. 6, 7, 8. I can get there by 8. Get some work done. What meetings do I have today? Probably go on. what? Where did my work apps go? Did they get rid of it? Yeah, really, where did they go? I used to have a work apps button. The new OS, they kicked out my work apps. That's interesting. Hmm. Glad I checked. The new Android OS has totally screwed up my work apps. It doesn't look like I can find them anymore. And you can't switch through settings like you used to be able to do. I guess you can. They changed it. Very odd. Work. Somewhat in POV. Oh, that's annoying. Some more work I have to do. My work computer is buried in my pack. So we're just gonna eat some of this stuff, then we're gonna hit the road. Yep. I gotta figure that out because I was gonna take some meetings on the phone. If I can't do that, I need to know. That's out of nowhere. They changed that. There should be a button. I just love how they don't test shit. It's like a problem for everything. Is that getting tested? The users or the testers? Pretty regularly happens. All right, so hey, Debug Wonder. I'm pretty good. Off behavior. Management change. Starting with Android 14, when you toggle your work profile off, it is now labeled as paused. Which I previously to turn your profile off completely killed it. Now it functions similar to digital well-being's focus mode. The memory profile home briefcase. Restart the button to work out by using this mode. Add a button. It didn't sit. Pull expand. Okay. Edit. Hey, what? And hold to change order. I moved it. It's also disabled. Tap and hold the work tab, or I'll drag it up here. Work profile setting is up. I turn it on. They just moved it, I guess. Yep. Really weird. I liked it better there. Why won't you take it? I am trying to track them. It's not working. Why would they move that? That's so weird. I mean, they really moved it. Looks like it's still there, though, thank God. That's the part that was worrying me. Yeah. I turn Teams on. See when my next meeting is. We'll have a one-on-one at 10 a.m. Fuck. Mm. 6 to 7 to 8, 8 to 9. I gotta leave now. I gotta leave now, guys. I have a one-on-one. Dude, I have meetings all day. I gotta get someplace where I can work by 9 a.m. Okay. So, all right. That's all I needed for now. Let's go get coffee. Eating chicken yama. Hey, what bench? How you doing? I had chicken yama. I had chicken, baby chickens. I had baby chickens. Yep. I'm gonna walk down and get. Dude, I had allergies so bad yesterday. My allergies, they were killing me. Chicken biryani, whatever. All right, where's my shoes? Where are my shoes? I don't see them. Oh. My charger. Bring my wind noise thing. That is all. Oh, my wallet and my keys, of course. Wallet, keys. I'll buy the Taco Bell today. Actually, I probably won't be able to go. I put my laptop away. I'm gonna get some coffee and go get on the road. put my teeth in. Yay. Yep. Take my coffee cup. We'll be out of here. My God, my pack is heavy. It's so fucking heavy. I don't think I'm gonna be able to take it like this. I was thinking I'm gonna have to make a serious change. What up? I'm driving to Salt Lake. My car is full of stuff to move. So yeah. Fresh with new teeth. You haven't seen me with the new teeth yet. Dude, I cannot believe how heavy my pack is. It's a little scary how heavy it is. I just have one change of clothes and all my electronics. I have 2 computers, a charger brick, and the Starlink. Really fucking heavy. I need to go get some stuff. So, hang tight for a second. It doesn't. Days later. Yeah. Those are out of range now. What's going on? I don't know why I did that. Touched the wrong camera. I had to put a face mask on. I thought it was a cold. It's definitely allergies. Yesterday, it shut me down. I could not even move. I was so... Yeah. So, I'll go get coffee, drive to Salt Lake during rush hour, which will not be fun, but whatever. And then get there, plug into work, go to a coffee shop or someplace I can do my one-on-one. And yeah. All right. No idea. I hope it does. I mean, I would think it would. I would think it would help with allergies. I mean, the biggest thing is about it is I can go wherever I want, so. Yeah, it was pretty tough on my marriage at the end of it. Because we loved a dog, and my wife loved the dog, and we got the dog for my wife, and I relented and let her get a dog, and that dog about killed me. I mean, literally killed me. I would wake up in the middle of the night and I could not breathe. She had really, really tiny, fine hair that would float around in the air, and it would go everywhere. In fact, on the day that I blew up before we got divorced, I had just been cleaning behind a sock drawer, and it was covered with dog hair. I'm like, how does this hair even get in here? And it had been, it confirmed what I had been saying all along, that I had a feeling that, because she kept saying, well, I keep everything clean and I keep everything. back when I knew it wasn't that she wasn't trying to keep it clean or anything. It was just this impossible scenario where this dog, no matter what, that hair got around, you know. And so I would be in the middle of the night, and my windpipe would close up completely. I'd have to go get a Benadryl. That actually happened. And I was like, I cannot do this. This is not sustainable. I felt so bad about it. I was like, this is insane. I can't do this. And it was like, and I kept, because I loved her so much. I love that dog so much. I kept telling myself I could make it work, and I kept doing it. And right near the end of my marriage, it was around that same time that, because she was super busy at work, and she couldn't really think about anything else, and she was super distracted. And I would send pictures of dog hair all over the house in different places, and I was like, see, I told you. And because she kept trying to minimize it. She kept trying to say it was, you know, I don't know, that was, and that just kind of set me off, because she's deathly allergic to fish. If I have even had sushi at all, she won't touch me for like 2 weeks. So, and then, you know, so she's like super hyper aware of fish allergies and stuff, but then when it comes to me and the dog, it was like, oh yeah, well, you know, I'm sure you'll work around it. And that was a big part of it. That was one of the first times I realized that my marriage was over. There wasn't equal consideration. It wasn't balanced anymore. And then when I realized that it really wasn't a balanced relationship, that was the beginning that was like really the end. So, anyway, kind of a sad topic, but it's related to allergies. Because she wanted to help, she just couldn't. She's like, I don't know what we can do. It's like, I know what we can do. We can get rid of the dog. And that was like, no, that's not happening. And when I realized that she would literally pick the dog over me, that was like, you know, like if it came to getting rid of the dog, or, you know, me moving out and living in a separate apartment and staying married or something, she wanted that. In fact, she said so. She goes, you know, we can do the whole digital nomad thing. We can just stay married. And our anniversary's coming up, by the way. Also, the 1 year mark where we can get divorced. She would obviously disagree with everything I said, full disclaimer. Full disclaimer, she would not agree with that at all. She would say that she did everything she could, she tried really hard, and she super loved me, and she didn't get the dog. It was my idea to get the dog. I'm the one who picked the dog out, which is all true. One of the reasons I didn't want to get the dog, even though I knew she needed a dog, was because of it. Yeah. I gave in on the dog. I gave in on everything. I gave in because I loved her, you know? I just kept loving her, and I was like, okay, she wants a dog. So I got her a dog. We had to pay so much extra money for that dog. And, you know, I love the dog, but then the dog didn't, I don't know, it was really hard because I really, really love Sam. And then when she got really busy, it was even worse. When she got that year that she was really busy, where she launched and got her gallery show and everything, hey Ray, that particular year, she wasn't even home to take care of the dog. And my stepson didn't take care of the dog either. So the dog that I didn't want, that I was deathly allergic to, that gave me hives when I touched her, I was the one taking her out. And there's videos of this. There's clips of me doing this. I would take the dog out, I would go outside and work, and the dog would sit next to me outside because I was the only one taking care of the dog. Because everybody else was too busy to take care of the dog on their video games and doing their art. And I was the one home. So I ended up taking care of the dog. And then I started getting really pissed. In fact, I'm getting a little pissed remembering it now. Because I was walking the dog around. I was entertaining the dog. I was doing all that. Sammy didn't care because she was a dog that I had work to do. And I was like completely taking care of that dog. I mean, and unless I said something, if I said, I would have to say something. I was like, hey, you think you could take care of the dog? I'm like, okay. And I was like, and then I just started getting really pissed. And it was deep down. It was really deep down. But I was starting to really fucking resent the whole thing. I was like, look, I didn't sign up for this. I signed up for a wife that I could do things with, that I could go paddleboarding with, that I could potentially go mountain biking with, that I could go to art shows with. I didn't sign up for a watch my kid and dog while I work 15 hours a day. That's not what I signed up for. And, and I thought, okay, it'll eventually pass. And that was when it was really over. When it was really, really over was after we moved, and it stayed the same. The whole thing was the same. Even though we moved, it was all the same, but now it was worse because now we had a smoker upstairs. I had a smoker. All my shit that I've been packing up still smells like smoke. We had a smoker in the apartment. Nobody would do anything about it. I had the dog, and then I had Otto making food and stressing everybody out for my other stepson Max. Well, I was trying to make, money and support everybody. And I just kept getting less healthy and less healthy. So you saw me biking more and more and more because all I was trying to do was get out of there. I was trying to escape. I was biking for 5 hours a day. I was just anything but being in this house. So finally, instead of feeling guilty for not being Otto burning the fucking apartment down because he leaves the stove on, I started saying, no, screw it. I'm going to start doing my own thing. I guarantee
low IQ also, and I kind of feel bad for.
But she was too busy and never really got a full understanding of how bad it was. And when I would start telling her about it, or when Otto would start telling her about how bad it was, she would just kind of throw her hands in the air because she's like, I don't know what to tell you. I can't fix it. Yeah, they avoid going home. So I ended up trying to do as much as I could to get out of the house. And then it was then our lives just grew apart completely. I tried to go to her art gallery show, and it was really obvious. In fact, she actually asked me once. She goes, you should take away your. I was her wife, absolutely. And I started sleeping in the other room. She'd come home at midnight and wake me up if I was in my own bedroom. So I started sleeping in a separate bedroom. And then I would, I don't know. That's when I got really, really into streaming. It's when I got really fat because I started drinking. And meanwhile, the whole entire time, my kids are at home suffering, and I'm not with them. And so it really, really messed me up. I mean, it really messed me up. I mean, really, really badly. And I went on that big, month-long trip, and I felt, awesome after that. I got to see my children. I was really hopeful. Really wanted to come back to Doris after that because I had a really positive outlook on life because I'd seen my kids. And then I went back. It was all the same thing all over again. Same thing. We'd walk the dog, and she would talk about just a solid stream of talking about all of the drama at her work. And so I asked her very nicely. I said, can we please not talk about your work drama? I don't talk about my work drama. Oh boy, this is going to be a tough step. And I did occasionally talk about work drama. There was occasionally, maybe every month or so, I would call because there was work drama and I had nobody to talk to about it, and I would like just let out. I'd say thank you for letting me, dump on you. But that for us, it was every day, every fucking day, every fucking day. We would go walking around the neighborhood, and she would walk the dog. We would walk the dog and Sammy and everything, and she would just keep telling me about her work trauma. I could tell you the details of every single person's life in her entire workplace. I guarantee you she can't name one person in my work. I can name them all. There's like eight or nine people. I can tell you everything they went through. I can tell you the drama. I can tell you their relationships. I can tell you, what they consider bad or what they consider good. Because I had to just sit there and listen to the work drama because the only thing she cared about was work. That was it. It possessed her consciousness. Hey, Eric. Nothing happened. I'm just rehashing my divorce. Which I shouldn't do. Doris, if you're there, I would say any of this to you. This is the kind of stuff that if I talk about it, she knows. She's like, I just know you. She literally said, I just know you can't stop yourself. When I asked her if it'd be okay for me to move back to North Carolina. And she's right. And of course, it's not fair because she doesn't get to say her opinion at all, and she would never say her opinion at all. She wouldn't even bother. Yeah, this is all my perspective on it, and I guarantee you, if you talk to her, you get a totally different story. I'm going to Salt Lake City to drop off all a full carload of stuff to give away. And I have to get there relatively soon because I have to have my one-on-one with my manager, have the normal work deadlines and everything still today. So I'm going to try to get there before, 10 o'clock or so. I will. The crazy thing is that I still love the memory of the woman that I married. The woman that I married is somebody that I truly and deeply loved for a very long time. Until I lost my kids. When I lost my kids, and when her son started making fun of me having sex to her, and her telling me about it and thinking it was funny, that was when I knew I was in big trouble. That was the first time I knew I'd made a mistake, but I'm Mormon and I was going to follow it through. I was going to work through it. Start a new job? Oh, hey, hi, Eric. No. Yeah. Well, and my kids moved out. So I didn't have my kids anymore. I had to take care of her kids. And by the way, that first year, Doris moved out. She moved out. I lived there alone with her kids, and she moved to Spartanburg. And I didn't see her except for the weekend. She had her own apartment that she lived in solo in Spartanburg while I watched and took care of her kids and got groceries and stuff and at home, and still had the job to keep her so that she could have her job. Her job required her to move to Spartanburg. I would take her kid and we would go down there and we would walk around and we wouldn't really do anything. Yeah. She actually had an apartment in Spartanburg for an entire year. And I was alone with her autistic kid trying to work. And she was in her own apartment the first and a half year. And I just wanted to show her how good of a man I was, how much I wanted to support her. Meanwhile, my kids moved out. My ex-wife pulled a fast one. She moved my kids out of the state. So I didn't even get to see my own kids. I'm watching her two kids. Yeah. So all I'm trying to say is I fucking tried. I really, 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 really tried. I tried. I stayed in that marriage for almost 13 years. And I had friends that got married and divorced in the same time that I was still married. The thing of it is I still think of her and I still love her. I still love her. I just, you know, she helped me. She did a lot for me when I was doing Skill Stack. She didn't really know who she wanted to be at that time, though. That was when she was really latching onto me. That's why I had to get a dog, because I was running Skill Stack and I wasn't around. I was literally downstairs for 8 to 9 hours a day running Skill Stack, and she would bring me dinner sometimes. She wrote a journal dedicated to me and how much she loved me and everything. She was really trying to figure out what she wanted to be, and she really didn't know. And then she learned, then I sent her to yoga training, and she got full yoga training, and then she found art, and that was it. That was the end. Yeah. Yeah, no, this was definitely my own fault. It was, I take all the blame for it. I've written that to Doris many times, even though I'm talking about it from my perspective. And every single time it was my fault, because I didn't have the courage to say no. I can't do this. There were a couple times I did try to do it nicely. I tried to put my foot down and say something, and they're like, it just never really, nothing changed. Bottom line, nothing changed, because she has a very strong will, and so she, you know, she actually really benefited from all my Mormon programming. My Mormon programming taught me that no matter what, you stay together. And so I tried. Oh my God, I tried. That's not her programming, though. When stuff started going bad for her, she was like, no, this isn't working. And it was over. And it that ripped me to shit. After spending all that time dedicated, putting my own needs aside, my own health aside, nearly dying, I kept putting it aside for her and trying to find a way to get through it. And all of a sudden, when it didn't work because I broke down and I screwed up, boom, I was gone. And I had screwed up before and I wasn't gone. But that particular time, when I got angry, she's like, no, we're done. Because she had a job, she was financially stable, she could move out on her own. She couldn't do that before. Well, you want to piss her off? Bring that up. I said we've had struggles in the past that were just as bad as this. The only difference is that you have money and you can live on your own now, and you didn't have that before. And I swear to God, I thought she was gonna kill me. I thought she was gonna kill me when I said it, but it was factually true. And her response was, well, I guess I'm a perpetual optimist. I was like, bullshit. Almost all relationships are dysfunctional when you take it to the extremes. Absolutely. Yeah. So. Oh shit. My thing came unlatched again, I can tell. Okay, I'm gonna have to take this thing back. Oh my God, you should smell the air. You should smell the air here. This is the Wellsville Trail entrance, by the way, I think. Right here. It's not a bad place to stop if everything's gonna fall off your fucking roof. Yeah. Well, I would start to hint at this kind of stuff. Oh my God, it smells so good. It's like pine. I would start to hint at all of this stuff. I would say it. And she was like, so it sounds like you don't want to be married anymore. It sounds like you don't want to be with me anymore. And I was like, no, I love you. I want to make it work. I want to have things change. And the truth is that I probably should have, you know. Nature. I mean, yeah, it's beautiful here, especially right now, Eric, because it's springtime. Springtime in Utah is beautiful. It was a good smell. Don't die before I end up downsizing. I've joked about that in the past, and you know, perhaps inappropriately, like, you know, hey, I'm gonna downsize. I'll be ready to die. You know, but it's true. You guys ever heard about Swedish death cleaning? God, look at that. Mantua. That's the Mantua Reservoir or lake or something. I was in love with being in love. Yeah. No, I was in love with the original Doris, the one I married. And I told her that all the time. She goes, you never loved me. And I said, no, I love the woman I married. And you are not the woman I married anymore. And I am not the man you married. I was like double the size. I was this big, fat, ugly monster. I think of it as, I mean, I really, really love her. Just got her 5 minutes ago. Nothing changed, guys. Okay, so let me catch everybody up. I am driving to Salt Lake City, Utah, actually West Valley City, Utah, where I will be unloading this carload of stuff. I've been taking carloads to my parents to put in their garage, and they've been getting rid of the stuff, selling it, giving it to family members, stuff like that. What do I do for work? I am a high performance computing machine learning systems development engineer, which means is keeping the batch and Kubernetes systems running to process our proprietary machine learning models at work, and to write the software that allows those jobs to be submitted, the APIs and the, you know, all the pieces that make that work. Right now, I spend almost all my day in Perl because our entire code base for batch is written in Perl, and I'm the only one on the team, the immediate team, who knows Perl. The original authors of it are still, they're senior managers now, but they're still here. So, listen, the larger story is, over the last year, the last year's been one of the most tumultuous years of my entire life. I got separated and we'll be divorced soon. There's a year-long waiting period in North Carolina which is ending in 3 days or something like that. So I moved across the country. In an emergency, I came to the country to save my daughter who was in the suicide ward, and then brought her back to live with me for a while. And then she was not happy, so she wanted to be back with her family here, for friends here. So I organized a move. So she and my other son, who graduated from college, moved across the country again and moved to Logan, Utah. We were really excited about it. We got a great apartment where I'm in now, in which we lived, and my daughter lived there for 2 months and ended up deciding that she wanted to go visit her friend that she met in North Carolina. So she went back over Christmas for a month and a half and went back to North Carolina that we had just come from. And she came home, she was happy, and she told me, she was not sad at all anymore. I said, this is the best thing for her. She decided, I bought her a piano and everything, and she decided that she wanted to move back to North Carolina. So she did. She moved back in February, leaving me and Gordon alone. And then Gordon decided he would rather be living with his college friends. It was the best thing for his career. We spent a lot of time talking about career decisions and how important it was going to be helping him move to Burbank or wherever. And he felt living with his professional friends from school was the best idea. So he's got an apartment there, and now he's in Moscow, Idaho. We're going to go see him later this month. But he moved out, so that left me with an empty 3-bedroom apartment I'm paying $2,100 a month for, and a bunch of shit that I don't want or need, that I have been moving around between storage units and houses and apartments for years. And what changed in the relationship? The biggest change in my latest wife, who I thought was my soulmate, honest to God did, was she found art again. When she married me, she had put out of her mind art. And art is who she is. At her very core, Doris is an artist. I have never met somebody who is more naturally talented and more destined to create art. Transformative art. The art that kind of goes into the Metropolitan Museum of Art. She is that person. And when she married me, she'd given up that person completely. She'd given her up. She's like, I'm never going to be able to do this. I gave it up for my family. Blah, blah. She had a lot of reasons. And then she helped me kind of unlock who I was, which is a teacher and a mentor mostly. And so I started the school, and I ran that for 8 years, and she was there faithfully with me for the entire time. But at the same time, she was kind of lost, and so she started trying to find herself. And I remember when I told her that you should just take an art class, and she looked at me like she was going to beat me up in a good way. She goes, "Don't you dare." And I said, "What?" She said it that way, and I was like, what? She literally was a little aggressive with it. She said, "Don't you dare." And I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, I wanted the best for her. I thought that, we always want the best for everybody. And she goes, don't tease me with the art thing. And that was the first time in our marriage. And we had been married for 10 years. We had been married for 10 years. And that was the first time that I realized that I had actually married an artist. And she actually, for the year after that, it was a constant, ongoing, running joke. She goes, "You never knew you married an artist, did you?" And I went, "No, I didn't." And we used to make fun of it. We used to make fun of it in a good way. I was teasing her by telling her, I said, "You should go take that art class." But every time something would come up where she didn't really commit to it fully for some reason, I was like, "No, go do that." Oh, wow. Yeah. There was one time when she said, she goes, oh, I'm trying to make the yoga thing work and blah, blah, blah. And she was trying to finance it herself and go every weekend and everything. I said, why don't you just do the month-long thing? And she goes, well, I mean, it's a lot more money and I don't want to be away from you guys or anything. I said, no, just do it. And so I paid for her yoga training so she could go to that month-long thing, and it transformed her entire life. She came out of that. She became a yoga teacher. She met her art friends. Those art friends helped her, encourage her to get into art. And then that was when the next thing came. And I said, you should just take an art class. You should do a sculpture class or something. And while she was making coffee pots in her sculpture class, she met the head of the thing, got her involved in her first art shows, and that was the beginning of it. And then it became an obsession. I mean, an obsession. My wife doesn't do anything small. She doesn't do anything small. She is a German who's so active and so proactive and so strong and so amazing. It's one of the reasons I love her so much. She's just so fucking passionate and so driven. And so I encouraged that in her. And so when I told her, I said, hey, you should take the art class. She goes, don't you dare. And then she started bringing coffee mugs back, right? Her very first pieces of art were these coffee mugs and stuff. And then she started exploring things. And she started doing women's underwear as art, as you know, they call it hand thrown. And then she started doing painting again. And then she started attending figure drawing. And then she applied out of nowhere for a residency, or for a studio space downtown at the McCall Center that she's now vice president of. And she, you know, got this little broom closet where she could work and hang out with artists. And within 2 years, she had her own gallery show, to which the German ambassador to the United States was in attendance. And she was giving these talks, and she was the darling of the entire place. She had multi-millionaire board members wearing bracelets that said Cult of Doris. She had an entire fucking following. Other artists, one artist in particular said, she's the best figure drawing artist I have ever known in the entire region. And, you know, she just blew up. And I was really loving her blowing up and going through all that. And it really fired me up. I was like, yeah, tell me more about your success, because I'm stuck at home and Skillstack is dead. And I'm watching your kid. And so I lived through her. I let her, you know, tell me all of her successes and everything. And I was legitimately into her successes, and that kept me satisfied. It kept me from thinking that, you know, my kids weren't around and all of that. But the entire time I developed some psychosis. I started to get a tic. I had a tic. I had been repressing so many feelings. I started to get a tic. I still have it a little bit. And it would happen all the time. Anytime I would have a feeling, a thought about my family or my life, or how nothing was happening for me, or, you know, mostly about my children. Every time a negative thought like that would come in, I would tic and it would go away. The feeling would go out of my head. And then, like, sometimes that was when it was the beginning of the end, is when I just started randomly breaking down. I started having panic attacks for no reason. I couldn't put my finger on the reason back then. I know now exactly why. But back then I couldn't put my finger on it. She would go out of the room. She would go to the restroom during a break while we were watching Guardians of the Galaxy or something. And I would pause the video, and I would be alone with my thoughts while she was in the restroom. And she would come back, and I would be like a bawling, sobbing, shaking mess. And I was like, I don't know. I was like, I'm really sorry. And she was like, what's wrong? What's wrong? And she wasn't give me a hug, take care of it wrong. I could tell by her reaction that I was in big trouble. Her reaction was, I don't know what to do. It wasn't, I want to console you. I want to give you a hug. I want to make you feel good. Her reaction was, I don't know what to do, and she was uncomfortable. And so she would just, you know, she would go sit down, and she goes, it'll be okay. And she would try to talk me through it and fix it. And I was like, that's not what I needed. What I needed was a hug. But I don't want to talk about it. I'm done. And moments of that when she really truly helped me. Two things happened that just blew me away and how much that she loved me. And one of them was she said, you can go live in Utah. We can just stay married. And that idea had never crossed my mind, and she was willing to do that. That was the first time. And the second time was when I spent every single cent of my money. I exhausted my bank account on that trip, on that bike trip. And I was actually traveling, and I had under $1,000. I had spent so much money. I made good money, but I had spent it all the way down because I was chasing this thing that I thought was going to fix everything. Her money, which she didn't have very much, out of her money, she gave me $1,000 to put in my bank account. Now, to be honest, I was giving her $5,000 a month. 2,000 of it to pay for her studio and art supplies. It was coming out of my paycheck every single month. When I started feeling guilty about buying a bicycle, I looked at that money and I was like, I've spent over $16,000 a year on her art career, and I feel guilty paying $2,000 for a new bike. I mean, if you count, okay, so her studio was $1,300, and she'll say, I paid for that. I'm like, yeah, you did, sort of. She never really did. She'll say that she paid for everything, but she didn't. I paid all the rent. She started to buy the food, but then we would run out of food money because her budget would be gone. And then she'd say, and here's the real killer. She always had access to my bank accounts, and I never once could even see her bank account. She's like, I just don't feel safe. That says everything about our relationship right there, all by itself. That's all you need to know. She was not even willing to let me have access to her accounts. She's like, well, I'll tell you everything that's in there. You just have to ask me. I'm like, yeah, but will you give me access to it the same way you have access to my accounts? And she goes, I just don't feel safe doing that. I'm like, okay. She used to always say it wasn't about the money and all that. I'm like, no. She might not have accepted it was about the money, but it definitely was. It definitely was. It was definitely about the money. I think she'd convinced herself that it wasn't about the money, that she truly believed that. I think she really did. The thing that used to bother me so much is she would say that she didn't feel safe with me. And I'm like, really? And she didn't mean like physically safe. She meant like, even though I was that was like a kick in the balls to me because I'm a provider. My biggest thing is to help people feel safe and to nurture them and stuff like that. That's my biggest thing. And for her to say, I just don't feel safe in this relationship with you and everything, while she's like living in another state while I watch her kid. I mean, what else can I do? What else can I do to prove to her that I'm safe? But then I gave her plenty of evidence to suggest that I'm not safe. So that was it. I'm not talking to you about tech. She was feeling safe economically speaking. That's all. And she would just say, well, there he goes again, talking about relationships openly on the public for everybody to see. That's what she'll say. And honestly, Doris, if you watch this, you know how much I cared for you in the past, but I do not give a fuck what you think anymore. I'm going to talk about every fucking detail. Maybe I'll talk about how you orgasm for everybody to hear. It's none of your fucking business what I say now. It's just my life. And if it goes in and expedites, so be it. You've already put me in your art without, even though you said we weren't going to do that. So that's my answer. Well, that wasn't about you. Yeah, right, it wasn't about me. Everybody who knows you know what you just went through, and they know what the topic was when you made that art. Yeah, but I didn't mention you in the art. deluded herself. Yeah. 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 So anyway, on to better and bigger things. I wish her well. I hope she does fine. I have no bad feelings toward her. I don't. I honestly don't. But when I look back at the relationship, I mean, at the end, she started saying things like, "I'm not talking about our relationship with you." I'm like, I said, "Well, can we at least go to marriage counseling?" He goes, I don't know. I guess. I was like, really? After like fucking sucking it up for 2 years, giving up my dream that you know I had because I made it for you because you told me you needed insurance during COVID and you were a cancer survivor, and so I went back to corporate America for you. And then she told me I don't want to talk about our relationship. I was like, fuck you. Seriously, fuck you. Yeah, okay, I gotta stop talking about it. I don't want to talk about tech either, but I gotta stop talking about that. Because it's like eroding my positive memory of her. I do have many, many positive memories with her, and they were the early years. The first year, when nobody else was involved, when it was her and I going on long honeymoons and being friends with each other, and well, that's the thing. At one point, I did mean more to her. I have the proof. She wrote me an 80-page diary of love that was dedicated to me, that has pictures of us. It talks about us having sex. It talks about all the reasons she loved me. I have the documented evidence. In fact, when we broke up, I said, do you not, what about the book you wrote me? Is any of that person left? And she's like, no, I'm not the same person. That was another person. I'm like, okay, well, there you go. She is so strong now and so confident, and which is great, and so into her art, and knows that she's getting all of her validation from the people that she works with. And I have never had the courage to say this publicly, but I actually think she cheated. I think she cheated at some point. Some nights she never came home. And that's what she did in her first marriage. She cheated on her husband so much he has no idea. Her ex-husband has no idea how much she cheated on him without him even knowing. And so she's really, really good at cheating and not telling anybody. And I'm super hyper paranoid. I always think people are cheating on me. So, I don't know. I don't have any evidence of that at all. The way she acted, the way she completely transformed into this other human being. I mean, she wasn't even close to the same person I married, not even a tiny bit. And so I was like, what happened? And I think one explanation would be that she actually cheated. I think that one explanation, and I know who it would be with if she did. She even told me, I'm not going to get into that. She told me many, many times, lots and lots of clues about if she ever did cheat. We even had the conversation of like, if I ever did cheat, this is who it would be and how it would be done. The type of person. And there was a person who fit that description perfectly in her life all the time, every day. And she posted about that person on Instagram constantly. So, and then, all of a sudden all this happened. So, I have no evidence to suggest that. Whether it was sexual or not, I don't know. It was definitely mental. It was like she definitely didn't want, she didn't need me anymore, bottom line. I didn't provide anything for her. I didn't provide any money for her. She already had enough money. I didn't provide any emotional support. She would joke about, well, you get my sexual interest better than anybody else. She would joke with me about that, and I actually think that was it. And then the sex stopped happening, and then it was like, well, okay, so why are we together? And then all it was a whiny bitch at home who was complaining all the time that she couldn't take care of, that distracted her from her art. There was literally nothing keeping us together. And I used to say all the time, we need to invest in this relationship. We need to do things together. We need to have fun together. I used to say it all the time. I would actually make events to happen because she wouldn't. I would plan them. In fact, that happened the third year of our marriage too. I did the same thing. I started forcing us to go on yoga dates so that we had time together, and I saved that part of our marriage. And then later on, I didn't do that. Rather than trying to force her. I would come to her gallery shows. I would bring my camera to her gallery shows because I wanted to be around her. And then she told me straight point blank she didn't like it when I went to her shows because it made her nervous. It made her feel like she had to worry about me. The same way as her mom. She doesn't want to have her mom there. So I stopped going to her gallery shows because she looked down on me and stuff. I don't teach at the yoga studio anymore. The yoga, I quit. I quit teaching at the yoga studio because I got too much going on. It wasn't fair to them. I paid for the training and they're kicking up the training again in Saturday, but I'm not going. I do yoga. I just don't have to have a studio for it. The only reason I've talked about this before. Yeah. I don't know if I'm going to be free. I don't know what I'm going to do. No, I'm a nomad. Yeah. It's funny because I won't say it. Barcelona trip's not till March. It's a long ways away. I'm trying to get ready for that. Come to India. You know, there was a time when I would have said I wanted to go to India. I don't want to do that anymore. Rest stop from the next rest stop. Yeah. Studio in the hills in India. I mean, I'm not ruling anything out at this point. Anything is possible. But the only thing that's not possible is marriage. I will never fucking get married ever again. Getting married the first time was a mistake. Getting married the second time was a mistake. I don't regret those mistakes. I don't. Based on everything in my life at the time, that was the right thing to do. And I don't regret being married. I deeply love both my wives. I love my children. I love the years I had with my children. I kind of think sometimes the universe had to trick me into doing things that I would not have done consciously. We're in rush hour traffic, so they say the third marriages, if they're going to last, are the good ones, because it's almost always people have already gone through the bullshit, and you're more likely to find somebody on your third marriage who knows who they are, who isn't going to go through a transformation while you're married to them, which is what happened to Doris. Doris and I were perfect for each other when we got married. Ideally, what we should have done is we should have had a long-term relationship and let that push us along in our journey and not gotten married. Hey, Pam. So, I mean, that's what should have happened. Instead, I committed to her for life, and there were several times during my early marriage I was like, what's going to happen with the end? What is the end game of this marriage going to look like? And I couldn't tell you. I didn't really know. It was all hazy. I was like, you know, none of the stuff that we were inventing really fit. So traffic helicopter. Is someone's religious? Oh, fuck no. Are you kidding me? I won't touch people with a 10-foot pole. No. They say, the internet says, that the third marriage is the good one. The first one, you marry your polar opposite, and it's all about sex. That's what they say. They say the first marriage is all about sex, and it's you usually marry your polar opposite. You have no business being with them. That tends to be the case. And then your second marriage, you marry somebody who's helping you discover who you really are. And
That's exactly what happened to me. I don't have any bad feelings towards Doris at all. I don't, guys. No matter how negative I just got there, I ultimately wanted the result that happened. I didn't want to be divorced, but I wanted the thing that came out of it. The primary driver for being married with Doris was because I was lonely. I had kids. I wanted some companionship in the loneliness with children, and I wanted somebody to help me figure out who I really was now and who I could be. And I did that. She did that for me, and I did that for her. In fact, this is her car. This Subaru, when she totaled her car, this was the car we got for her. No, we traded in my van. I bought a van for van life, and Doris said she was going to live van life with me. Okay, so in our first 4 years of marriage, we did skill stack and everything, and I bought a van, and I started talking about converting the van and living on the road, and she wanted to do it with me. She was excited about it. She wanted to do it. We did some test drives in the van, and that's why we bought the van. She was totally on board with that life. She was totally on board with that decision. She just wanted to be next to me. She just wanted to be with me. But she hadn't found art again yet. As soon as she found art, the entire thing left, including the van. She got a job down in McCall, and she couldn't travel. She couldn't navigate that big old van, because that was our only vehicle, to go to the McCall Center for art. And so we got rid of my van life van and dream, and we got this Subaru. And then she took this Subaru back and forth. She took this Subaru back and forth, and I was so jealous because I was stuck at home with her kid trying to do skill stack stuff still remotely, and I had no vehicle. My vehicle was dead. My Mini died, and this was the only vehicle I had. This was our family car, and it was her car. But it was my dream car. Since the time I've been 16, I've wanted a Subaru. I've specifically wanted a green Subaru with a Yakima rack. Specifically. I mean, it was kind of funny when we traded the van in on the Ford lot. And we're like, wait a second. You have my favorite car of all time, and you're willing to trade me in on it? And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. And now I'm driving it. And now it's missing a passenger seat, and it's going to take me on my digital nomad adventure. Who would have known? It's so funny, Doris even knows it. She was like, we were joking the other day while I was at the coffee shop. I was like, there's so many Subarus here, it's insane. It's like my Subaru feels like she's part of the pack. She's so happy because it's like she came home, all the rest of the Subarus are here. It's like, you know. Which rattling sound? There's lots of rattling sounds. I have a car full of shit. Did you not get that? My entire car is full of stuff, including stuff in my roof rack that I'm moving. That's why I'm driving. Very long way to the super, right? I don't need an inverter. I do have to pay attention though, because I don't have the maneuverability I normally do. So, your love of art and keep the Subaru, right? And then she got a Subaru Baja, and then she totaled that, and she had to buy a new car. I said, I don't have it. I can't. I bought her the Baja for cash. I bought her the Baja for $12,000 cash. Cash. The reason we bought her the Baja is because she ruined this car. She got rear-ended on the Subaru, and it was in the shop for 2 months, and she had to go to work, and she had no way to get to work. There was no vehicle. And we got to get you another vehicle, and we were stuck at home since you were always taking the only vehicle. And so I said, I tell you what, you give me the Subaru, let's get you another car. So I paid cash for her Subaru Baja. Within a year, it was totaled. And she gave it up, and she financed, she had a job now, so she financed her own car, didn't even ask me, and she just got it. She got herself a Dodge Caravan. Meanwhile, I co-signed on her kid's car but then she ended up, yeah, whatever, it's fine. I gotta stop. There's just like, and then she actually in this car. Yeah. In fact, I think she might have lied to me about the Baja. Because she told me she got rear-ended on an overpass. And then later on, she let slip that she had an accident where she hit a deer. Oh, no. Her son totaled his car by hitting a deer, and she didn't tell me about that. She skipped over that, and she helped him get a different car or something, and she didn't tell me about any of it. And she said, because we knew you'd freak out, and I was like, you fucking lied to me about this. You're like, that was when I absolutely knew we were done. She was like hiding things from me and doing things with her son. She was plotting. And one day, out of nowhere on a Saturday, she goes, yeah, Max and I are going to move into a house together. And, you know, and we're going to move to the house, and I'll be there. I'll work in the studio and everything. And I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do? And she was going to leave me in the shitty apartment with the dog hair and the smoking, and she didn't have enough room for her studio, so she was going to live in a house and take Autumn and live in the studio. I think she was trying to say, I think we should split up. I think that's what she was hinting at, but she didn't hear her say that. And I started losing my shit. I started getting really, really, really angry. I was like, really? You're just going to make plans with your son without even talking to me about it? Is that where we are? And now I realize everything makes sense. All of it makes sense now. She could see that stuff was sort of degrading between us, and she was plotting her next step that didn't involve me with her son. She's like, yeah, between he and I, we can pay for the mortgage on this other house. And I'm like, when were you planning on even talking to me about this? And I lost my shit because she didn't even involve me in any of the planning at all. And I was like, wow, okay, I see where this is going. Because I was just so fucking naive. Out of nowhere, she'd start to try to like really kiss me hard, like maybe she could get something back. Oh God, it was so pathetic. At the end, Doris was really, really pathetic, but so was I. We had both become so pathetic. There's an Instagram post of her with the dog that I invited her to go to this student seminar at the private school where I had taught, and one of my best students was there helping out, and I said, hey, let's have a family activity. We went there. It was a total disaster, and she posted on Instagram, you can go look it up, with her big old fucking sunglasses on, with the dog in this shot, with no family in the shot, because her son was melting down, and I was trying to find her son things to do that interest him. Hey, look, they have like Legos over here. Hey, and she was like taking Instagram photos. And her Instagram photo that she posted to her artsy group was, tried family day at the outing, definitely don't recommend, 1 out of 10. And you can go still see that post. That post is still on her Instagram. And that post says everything. On the ride back, her son was melting down because she was never around, and he felt like he wasn't making any progress. And here Gabe was, you know, graduating from college and doing all this stuff. It made him feel like shit. And he was calmly trying to tell her this in the car, and she wasn't having it. She wasn't having it. And I tried to broker the conversation between them. I tried to say, okay, well, let's talk about this, blah, blah, blah. And it just wasn't happening. And she posted that fucking Instagram. I was like, I was starting, that was when I started to really see what had happened. This woman wasn't the same person. She'd done a Devil's Wears Prada. She'd pulled the Devil's Wears Prada metamorphosis. She was so into it and thought everything was so important. Well, Miranda this. Well, Miranda needs this. Well, Miranda needs the coffee. Well, I can't look away or this thing is going to happen. You don't understand how stressful my life is. She pulled the Devil Wears Prada. She was so self-important and had so much accolades and praise from everybody else. She didn't even see her own son like screaming for help. And then I left, and she got nobody, and she still doesn't. She like tries to bring him to the studio with her. I guarantee you, she's dropping him off with her mom, just like she did before. Well, I'm the only breadwinner, so she lets her mom raise him. It's just sad because that's not how it started out. I didn't do anything with the plugin. I'm not going to try the plugin for a while. Yeah, the main thing I'm doing with my app right now, because I'm using a different OBS, is getting SRTLA to talk. I worked on that yesterday. Yeah. Everything's expensive. This country's going to shit. So, you know, if Doris comes across this video, okay, good for her. It's SRTLA is the protocol used for streaming. Both, damn it, Dutch. Good to see you. So for those of you, it sounds like we got a lot of new people. And just to catch everybody up, I got to get the fast version of this. I have to figure out how to do this in a fast version. I should stop thinking about her, right? And she's actually said that to me before in a text. She goes, "You should just move on, dude. We don't think about you at all." And that would like infuriate me. It would absolutely infuriate me because I like spent so much time and energy into that relationship. For her to just say that, she basically let me go like 2 years ago. The thing that sucks about that was the time when I was in a good place to let her go. I even brought it up, and I sent her off. She got all upset. I said, well, you know, sometimes I wonder if it would just be better for me to be with somebody who wants to do what I want to do. And her face got sad. Well, I'm not doing native SRT. I don't do any of that. Mine's stuff's all modular. What you wrote about what? About moving on? I'm having a hard time. I'm driving here. I can only see some of your guys' messages. This is the good part about being a small streamer, I guess. It's really time for me to just like move on and just not think about it. I agree. Use marriage as a present to women. Her art literally shows that. Yeah. Yeah, I know. And her art started showing marriage as a prison to women a lot more at the end. In fact, the more she got into her art, the less she liked me. The more I was a repressive man, the more I was just another. And then one time I made the mistake at breakfast saying, I don't really like your art. It's like, I like some of your art, but I don't like the other art. And God, I thought it was like I stabbed her with a knife. And I'm sure that her thought was, well, that's just because you don't understand my art. And because you're a man. I know that's what she thought. It's her, most of her feminist shit is legit. It's like, but she's been preaching, she's been playing that one note on the piano so much that it has definitely shaped her view of the world. Definitely shaped her view of the world. She doesn't see men as positive at all. You know, so she kept getting validation from women. She like built up the cult of Doris among other women. She's helping women artists break into the industry, and there's no place for men. Every time she talked about men, there was one man who she talked about a lot who really got it. A black man who's now the CEO. I legitimately, I could still be naive, but I legitimately don't think Doris is she has a very complex mind. She's also very, very psychologically disturbed. So am I, but that makes her a great artist. But she definitely has some serious psychological dysfunction. And part of it is that she just totally disconnects. She becomes total. I've seen it so many times in different ways. She just becomes a different person. She transforms into a totally different person, and I do too. I think maybe that's one of the, or maybe I don't know. Bottom line, it's not really up to me to figure it out. It's up to me to let her go. I love her. I wish her well. I really do. I had the great years together with her for the first few years, and like she likes to tersely say to everybody, it was good until it wasn't. But that is so diminutive. It's just, wait, I'm going to miss my meeting. No, I'm not. Never mind. I'm thinking too much about someone. I'm only thinking about it because my anniversary's coming up. I don't know how we started on this topic, but that's the main reason. So we were talking about, okay, so I was summarizing the history. We were summarizing the history, so that's what got me on it. Dude, if it's this way all the way into Salt Lake, I am fucked. SRT-LA uses SRT to do the bonding, though. I mean, or to do the transport. Yeah. Why aren't you worried? Why am I worried about her? Fuck it. Focus on what people say. That's just how I am, dude. No matter how, there's a couple people in the life that I've been able to just say, fuck it. If I ever saw him again, I'd punch him in the face. One of them is my landlord. But I'm not built that way. I'm built to find a way to forgive people and to think well of them. That's just how I'm built. I'm also a total asshole, which is kind of a weird thing. I'm a total asshole. That's what I became to her. To her, I became an asshole. But the reason I was an asshole is because I wasn't agreeing with her anymore. and the way that I was not agreeing with her anymore. But to be fair, I was disagreeable in a very good way, soft, passive way, and then I started being more direct with my disagreement, and I became an asshole suddenly. But there was a lot of reasons. Yeah, I told her kid that he should kill himself if he wanted to. Get it over with. Stop fucking talking about it. Fucking drama queen. Such a drama queen. Oh, I've got autism. I can't do this. Oh, I've got depression. I can't work. I got depression. We moved to that fucking town to be a block away from the best autistic center in the entire region, and he couldn't be bothered to walk up there and visit with them and get some training, vocational training. I just don't feel like it today. Thena did the same thing, though. My own kid did the same thing, and I had tons of more compassion for her because she was my kid. Otto was my roommate. That's the biggest problem. If I had talked to Thena the way I talked to Otto, I would have divorced me too. But the problem was I had a lot more psychological baggage for me tied up into this guy, because this guy to me had been, he did not deserve what I said. He did not deserve what I said. That was more about me being a bad person, being an asshole, and dealing with my own stuff. And he did not deserve it. He deserved the same compassion, the same caring, the same patience that I gave Thina. That's what he deserved. That's not what he got. What he got was a short, pissed off, traumatized guy who had lost his wife and his children and had realized that he had sacrificed everything for nothing. That's what he got. So he became the lightning rod for every single repressed piece of anger and everything, and he did not deserve it. He did not deserve it, and I regret it to this day so much. I regret that I blew up at him the way I did. He was so annoying to live with every day for lots of reasons, you know, but that didn't, nothing on earth justifies how I talked to that kid. And the way I talked to him was the final blow. That was the thing that was like, no, you two cannot live together. She told me that. She goes, you two can't live together. And I'm like, yeah, I know, but I tried. That was the main reason we split. And then it kind of got ugly. It got ugly for about a month after that. Because she still didn't give a shit about why I laid into him. She did not care. She's like, it didn't matter. I had done it. That was enough. The end. It doesn't matter why you did it. What matters is that you did it and that now we move forward. And she was perfectly happy never talking about the relationship or why I fucking melted down in the first place, which was like totally a backslap, because I was like, really, the reason that I repressed all of this stuff and the reason all of this emotion was there was because I was trying to support you with everything that I had when I probably shouldn't have. And she's like, I didn't ask you to do that. That's on you. And she was right. She was right. But a year before that, I tried to tell her this isn't working. I said, I just feel like the winds of change are in the air. It's like, she'd already moved on. Yeah. I can't turn the wipers on for a sec. It's not going to fix it. We tried this before. It just makes it worse. I'll show you. It just smears it. Told you. I told you. Now I have to wait for it to fix again because I'm not touching it. I'm not touching my fucking phone while I'm driving in this right now. So, yeah, now you learn your lesson. Windshield wipers do not fix it. I did expect her to be there. I did. But it just wasn't. She didn't want to be there. She was getting so much validation, and she told me many times, point blank, she did not want to be a mom. She liked being a mom when her kids were young, but she goes, I don't understand it. I'm good with other people's kids, but I can't take care of my own kids. When I met her, she wasn't even watching her kids. Her mom and dad were raising her kids, and she was working every day. That's the woman that she is. And then when she finally saw that she constantly talked about how famous artists told her not to have a family, and they threatened her. They said, you can't have a family. If you family, you can't be a good artist. And here she was full blown in the middle of being a good artist, and she had kids that were mostly grown. There was no helping her after that point. So anyway, that's the real story of an artist. You know, she'll probably have like a memoir and she'll like tell everybody this nice, pretty, happy story. And she's absolutely fucking terrified of, and I quote, protecting her reputation. She goes, well, I have a reputation to maintain. I have all this stuff I need to protect. I just don't trust that you're not going to stream about all of it. Well, here I am streaming about it. The thing is, she can't have this shit get out into the public because it will completely undermine her entire message in all of her art. Her art will be 100% deflated because they'll see that she's a big fucking farce, that she doesn't even spend time with her kids and does the minimum to raise them and cares more about how clean the apartment is for the next residents than she does about getting her kid to autism training. And if she heard me say that, she would come after me and punch me in the face. But it's the truth. She got a lot of successful art. She's just pushing a false narrative. She's just another one of these fake influencers. She's totally fake. But she wouldn't say that. She would say she's like there for women's voice, women's issues, and she'll just, you know, that was when you know, look, I don't want to talk about it because I have gotten to a really good place with Doris. I'm going to delete this VOD completely as soon as I get to the thing. So if she happens to be watching right now, Doris, I'm really sorry, but I'm going to delete this video as soon as I get parked. Yeah, she's look, I'm a pretty progressive guy. Hey, how you doing, Ewan? I'm a pretty progressive guy, but you know, she's like crossed over. Been a roller coaster stream. Yep. Well, that's because I'm driving. When I drive, I like to talk about shit. Road trip, yeah, yeah, I'm almost there. I'm just driving to West Valley City, Utah. She's hyper liberal. She believes in pixies. She legit believes in pixies, and she's a witch, and she studies all of that. She's super big into astrology. It's funny because I kid you not, I married the polar opposite of my first wife. I don't think you could get a woman that is more directly opposite of my first wife than Doris. She is the polar opposite. And you know, I don't even know how that happened. It just did. And there was a time about 2 years before we started to split, we had a philosophical conversation. We would usually really enjoy those, and the tone of the conversation changed, and it no longer was it like, hey, let's have a dialogue. It was like, I'm going to tell you how it is, and I realized really quickly that, in fact, I remember, I know exactly where I was in the front room when I realized I had to stop talking because she was getting short with me. And I remember thinking to myself, this marriage is over. And that was like 2.5 years before it happened, because I knew that our fundamental values were different. I don't know if they had always been different, or if I don't know if they had changed in that moment. You know, usually you can weather the storm if you have your core values in common. Like, I don't know, you value education, you value learning, you value helping people. You basically, it's not religion, but you value the core values in common. And Salt Lake, I'm moving to Salt Lake and Barcelona. I'm going to Barcelona in March. I was thinking about moving to Spain, but I can't move there because I have to keep my job. If I've already said fuck it in my heart, I've already moved on, but this is kind of it's kind of new for me. This little emotion I'm having today is kind of new. I haven't had this in the last 4 or 5 months. 4 or 5 months I haven't even thought about her. You know, it's like, okay, hey, are you gonna send me the papers? Are you gonna send me the title? Hey, you know, we share links with each other. We're friends and stuff. If she saw this video, she wouldn't talk to me anymore. She would cut me off again. Oh, I moved on. I did move on, guys. I am totally moved on. But my anniversary is coming up, and I'm going to have to sign the papers. And so I had to kind of relive through it a little bit. And so you guys are hearing about it again. And as I talk about it, yeah, it's bringing it up. It's bringing it up again. Yeah. That's the only reason. I still right now I'm on in a great terms with her, and we share stuff with each other, and sometimes I'll send her money for her birthday, because she doesn't have a lot of money. She's really, really poor because she's an artist. It's not my fault. You know how long it took me to stop feeling guilty for not sending her money? If she wanted to, she could take half of my money. Because I was dumb enough to marry her. But she told me, she goes, well, you know, I'm not a vindictive person. I don't do that. So she's not taking any of my money. Yeah, I know. I know. I know. I know. Why am I still giving her money? The same reason I give in need. I gave $20,000 last year of my money away to people in need. I can't. It's just I'm a fucking pushover. That's why. That's why. I might seem like an asshole a lot, but if you look at the actions that I take, yeah. I feel like I'm a good person at heart. Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, and I look, everything I told you is something I would write in a book. And I've toyed with the idea of writing about all of these events fictionally. But if I ever actually write a book, it'll be a memoir, and it will have these things in it. Hey, Dale. Mission to move to Florida? Oh, I'm not moving anywhere. If I had moved anywhere, it would have been the same problem. There's no way I could have moved to Florida, Dale. The whole point of the move, the main point of the move, was to support my daughter. The end. Everything else was just side, stuff. I would still be supporting my daughter right now if she did not meet who she met. My daughter met some absolutely amazing people that nobody could have guessed would come into her life. I did. I got to spend time with my kids. It was worth everything. Absolutely. Fuck yeah. Just the days of climbing and watching Gordon climb, I will never, ever forget those memories. It kind of makes me sad, verklempt. Not sad, but happy. Do I want Doris in my life? Yeah, I do. I do want her in my life. I do. I want my other ex-wife. I text with my first ex-wife too still. Now I took a chance on her. We were like radio silence for 10 years. And I said I'm going to take a chance, and I started communicating nothing but positive stuff to my first ex-wife, my Mormon ex-wife. And so yeah, we're friendly, we're cordial. If we were in the same room, it would be fine. I can still harbor all of this memory and somewhat resentment and emotion, and still be able to be with them, I'm heading to drop off stuff. Yep, I got more stuff. My first wife is still Mormon. Yeah, very much so. Absolutely. She's more Mormon than she was when she was married to me. She's actually married to a bishop. She's married to a bishop in the Mormon church now. She's totally gone off the deep end. I mean, seriously deep end. Yeah. What ways do I want Doris still in my life? Just as a, getting back what laptop? The laptop I gave her? No, I gave her that after the divorce. And she's like, are you sure? She kept asking me, are you sure? I went, no, I want to do it. And it's funny because I know inside she was like, I never would have done this. And I wasn't trying to guilt her into anything. No, a bishop. Mormon bishop. Mormons have bishops. It's like a pastor. My first wife is married to a bishop. Yeah. I thought he was a nice guy, and then I heard some of the stuff he told my son. Oh my God. Yeah. Why did I feel sorry for Doris? I don't know. I honestly don't know. I think the reason I feel sorry is because I broke down. I broke down and said things to Otto that I can never, ever take back. And even though there's a very, very real and important reason that I said all those things that Doris doesn't give a shit about, it doesn't take away the fact that I said them. It's kind of like if you were to abuse somebody, it doesn't matter why you abuse them. It doesn't matter how much you were abused as a kid. It doesn't matter how messed up you are. It still doesn't take away the fact that you or the person did the abuse, right? Hi, how you doing? What words did I say? Among other things, while I was screaming at the top of my lungs and all of this repressed emotion was coming out, I said, if you're gonna kill yourself, just fucking do it. And I totally forgot I said that. I was just spewing. I was like a total collapse. I was like screaming at the top of my lungs. I couldn't even talk afterwards because he was getting every single thing that had built up in me about everything, about my kids, about Doris, about not being, everything. Oh, the Mormon thing, every single thing. He basically popped the boil with some small little stupid thing regarding the fridge and leftovers. He popped the boil and he got it all in the face. In the face, he got it. So it could have been anybody. If Doris had been there, it would have been her. If Max had been there, it would have been him. It would have been whoever popped the boil, but he was the one who was there. And so I said shit to him. He goes, yeah, my life's bad too, blah, 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 blah. And then I let him have it. Emotionally, I completely ripped him up and down, and I didn't even remember. I was so out of it. I was so fucking out of it. I don't even remember most of the stuff I said. And then I got this nice calm text from Doris later. It's like, this isn't working out. She didn't even want to hear my side. It didn't matter. She goes, it doesn't matter. It's clearly your guys are not working out. So we need to move on. I'm like, and I fucking lost it. I was like, really? So you don't want to hear it either, huh? You don't even care either. You just want to write me off. And I had been drinking. After I unleashed on Otto, I went back to the only place I felt safe, which wasn't the home. I went to my storage unit, bought a 6-pack, and I was 4 beers in to the 6-pack when she started texting me, and the shit that I texted back to her, she just got another full face of it. And then I tried to kill myself. I called the suicide helpline, and I ended up getting cut up. I called Thina. I said, is it okay if I leave? I was serious. I was on my way walking to CSV to take the drugs to kill myself. And the cops picked me up on the road. I couldn't even walk. I was so drunk. It was bad. I'm gonna delete this video, obviously. I think because I felt like nobody was hearing me. Nobody was hearing me. No matter how much I tried to tell them, I was just like, oh. No matter how nice I was about it, they were just, the fact that I was nice about it is the reason they didn't listen to me. I was always the nice guy. I was always the guy, oh, Rob, silly Rob. They never took me seriously. And, they took Otto seriously because he'd put on a fucking fit every time anything went wrong. And so they listened to him because he was loud and obnoxious. So, hey, Diane. Sorry, guys. I'm just going off. and I was probably 3 blocks. I remember the cops who picked me up from the side of the road in downtown Davidson, right by the red TARDIS phone booth. You guys might know it. We've gone past it a million times. And the cops, God, I just want to cry thinking about them. They were so understanding. There's one of the cops who had been through it. He'd been through a divorce with 6 kids, and he's like, man, they just sat there and they just listened to me. I'm getting emotional. I can't believe people shit on the cops. It's like the stuff that they go through. Yeah, there's bad cops. Yeah, they're more prone to racism and violence because they tend to be around racism and violence that happens in their area. But in general, cops are not, they're fantastic people. They get a lot of shit wrong a lot of times, you know, but anyway. So, oh, hey, how you doing? Hey, April. Sorry, boy, you caught me at a weird time. Yeah, I was just doing a road trip, and my anniversary's coming up, so a lot of baggage from my I mean, I haven't talked about any of this stuff in, God, 2 years, a year, and it's just coming up. People coming to my stream are going like, oh my God, here's this weepy divorced Mormon talking about his exes again. But those cops, they heard me, and I didn't know where I was going to sleep that night. I just remember Doris kept saying, come home, come home, come home, and I was like, no, I'm not going back. Because it was just going to be the same fucking thing all over again. So I said, no, I am not going back. And, I didn't go back. I slept in the car outside. It's fine. It's fine. Actually, this is kind of cathartic to go through it because there's people have mixed feelings about this. It's like there people have different opinions on this. Some people think you shouldn't talk through it. Some people think you should. Some people think if you talk through it, it makes it worse. Listening to others solves problems. I agree. It does. And I've debated about whether I should talk about personal things on my stream for a long time. I've been like, how personal should I be? Should I keep it surface thing, and all that. And I've just had to come to accept that I am me, and the me that I am is a very, very open person. Pretty much an open book. And that means there's nothing about me that I won't tell you or that I'm afraid of you knowing. Like, literally nothing. And that's my choice. I don't think everybody wants to live that way. I don't think everybody should live that way, but that's just how I've chosen to stream. I think there's room for people to be who they are and live stream it in the Truman Show kind of capacity, especially once all their kids are gone. Personal things makes your audience feel less alone. I hope so. That's kind of one of the reasons I do it. I really don't do it for that. I do it for myself, for my own selfish purposes. I just want to be heard sometimes. But, some of us actually going through this thing. Yeah, and there have been other streamers who have been very personal, so this isn't like, groundbreaking, but it takes a lot, and I watch your stream a lot too, and it's like, it takes a lot to stay positive all the time. Especially when you're like a regular streamer. And I've been through a lot of shit. I'm 58. I was Mormon. I worked in Russia. I have a lot of life experience. I've been in tech. I've got, a great tech job. I have a lot of life experience. I've been through 2 marriages. I raised, 4 kids, including 3 gay kids and 1 trans daughter. And so, I have a lot of life experience, and hopefully I can talk through it with people, because so many other people may not, there's just so, if I were me and I were younger and I had the opportunity to watch a live streamer who was older, this is the guy I would want to follow. I would want to hear what he had done. God, can you imagine? It was actually on Facebook. There was a friend of mine from high school that I hardly talked to at all, and she sent me a really important URL website for ex-Mormons or Mormons who were doubting at the most critical time of my life, and that changed my life. And that's only because she literally said, she sent it as a private message. She goes, I sense you're probably ready to read this. And so she sent that to me. I've slept in this parking lot over here so many times. There's a Planet Fitness right there. When I visited Utah, I would just sleep here and go shower in there. Yeah, pretending you're a robot. I mean, some people are much easier at presenting the same face or persona, right? And I get it. You got VTubers who have a very specific persona. I just watched this documentary on Kiss, of all things, and it is so interesting. Oh my God. Even if you don't like Kiss as a band, the documentary is fascinating. It's absolutely fascinating how they came to be Kiss. This Gene Simmons, the monster in Kiss, the guy with the long tongue who spits blood, he couldn't speak English. He's from Israel. When he first got here, he couldn't speak English. He couldn't speak it. He used to just watch. His whole story is so interesting. And then he grew into this, but he talks about they talk in depth about when they decided to get rid of the makeup and how they had these personas that were built into their characters. When they put the makeup on, particularly the monster kid, Gene Simmons, when he's like, I didn't know what I was going to do. It's like, the first time they took their makeup, in fact, the first time I remember seeing Kiss without makeup was Lick It Up. Lick it up, lick it up. Oh, let's have it right now, lick it up. They're like, they kind of dress like a hairband, but they didn't really know what to do because they were already hairbands. They talk all about that. They're like, there are a lot of other hairbands out there, and we weren't really innovating. We were just following along, trying to be hairbands. It's so fascinating, you guys. But the reason I thought of them is because they were so, what's the word I want to say? They were, they had to struggle with their personas. It's like, do we be who we are, or do we perpetuate the persona? And if you're a rock star, you're definitely putting a persona out there. Whether you're Billie Eilish or you're Gene Simmons, you're definitely curating a persona. And it's a part of you as an artist. You got to do that. That's why Doris and I are so incompatible now. We are so incompatible. Because if I were to ever write a book, it would be almost a direct representation of my memories. And the memories would be essentially, nobody's memories are true. Everybody alters their memory over time. It's pretty good science on this. So, and it does kind of worry me because I am getting older and I have so many stories. But every time I tell the story, it's slightly, I'm probably remembering it slightly differently if any of the science on this is correct. And so I physically, I'm not actually remembering what actually happened. I am constructing memories out of, images and things that I sort of remember. And did I see that in a book and turn it into a memory? Do you know what I mean? Did I see it in a baby book? Which is so, if you ever get a chance to watch like actual video of yourself when you're a 6-year-old, oh my God, it is so revealing. Just little mannerisms, little way you interact with your brothers and sisters and stuff. It just says so much about who you are now. So anyway, yeah, so my persona on Twitch is not really a persona. It's me being me. Although, I guess some of it's a persona. I'm sure some of it is, even though I don't know it is. Oh shit, I got pulled over. You know what I mean? Yeah, I think a lot of my persona is unintentional. And then there's also the, oh hey, there's the high school kids. Yeah, Granger High School is just like, Hacker Hoodie was a persona for sure. Hacker Hoodie was just me not wanting. That's the closest thing to a VTuber. These kids are going to high school. Actually, they're coming from high school. Oh no, they're crossing. They're going to Granger. God, that school got big, man. That school got so big. I remember going there and playing soccer and football and going to dances and stuff. How conscious you are of your actual self, yeah. Wait, it's like an entire topic we can talk about forever. I keep thinking it's summer break. I think it's actually this week. I used to know all of these high schools. That high school right there on the left, I used to go there all the time. That wasn't my high school, but I used to go there. Harmon's is coming up on the left. I went shopping there as a kid. This is my hometown. For those of you who don't know, my official residential address is with my mom again. My mom and dad and my sister. Because I'm going to be a digital nomad, I've legitimately changed my business home address to their address, which is just really funny because this area, I grew up in this area. This area is totally run down now, but this entire area, this like 20-mile radius, I grew up here. I was here until I was 18. The first 18 years of my life I spent here, except for the first 6 years I was in California. So from 6 to 18, all of the formative years of growing up, the wonder years, they were all here. There was no highway here, by the way. This Bangor Highway is all built in the middle. The Pentagon or something. I know, right? And yeah, so this particular neighborhood has gone from being new. This whole entire area was completely undeveloped land. It was all farmers. My house was the first on the block to be constructed, and we played in the construction zones and everything. This entire area was all brand new, but now you can tell it all looks like it's about 30 years old. You got like random buildings that are just like empty and run down. That's kind of a sad thing about America, actually. I have this perhaps false impression that in Europe, when a place gets old, you kind of age into it. It gets more settled in. It doesn't disintegrate into, shitty falling apart wood construction. Like just look on the roads, you can see it does, everything doesn't morph into a pawn shop. In America, from my experience, could be different for anybody, but in America, from my experience, when an area gets 30 years old, it's gone. It becomes a slum. It needs to go through a renovation, and people have to rip everything down and rebuild it to revitalize it. And my perception is that that's not the same in Europe. It's 30 years old, yeah. Everything here is 30 years old. That Harmon building, I remember when they built it. I remember when they built that Harmon building less than 30 years ago. This parking lot coming up on the left where the dealership is, that's where my teenage friends and I, when we were really bored on a hot summer desert Utah night, we would climb random light poles and see how high we could get up and scare the shit out of ourselves, because if we let go, we would die. We had nothing else to do. There was no internet. And we would drive around and get free food from all our friends who worked in fast food. We would go get like Ben and Jerry's. No, we would go get Baskin Robbins ice cream, and then we'd go get a pizza. Every one of us knew somebody who worked at a place, and so we'd go get, hey man, give me a free piece of pizza. Okay, we go, no, I'm gonna get fired. We would do that. That's what we did all night. Because sometimes the dance places weren't open. When the dance places were open, we lived there. We lived at the dance places. Yeah. People build to last, bricks and stuff. Yeah. Here they build till your mortgage ends. Absolutely. That's been my perception. My perception is that the stuff that's built here is built to degenerate, and then they make a new thing. Which, I mean, I don't like saying it, but it's kind of consistent with the value system of America, which is, how are we going to resell it? When I worked at Nike, I learned firsthand that Nike shoes are designed to break down within a year. Deliberately. And if they don't, then they used to make internal jokes about them being New Balance. New Balance shoes last forever. They're made to be, you know, like, that's why grandpas, and they're meant to be cozy and live forever and be cheap. And people inside Nike would make jokes about making New Balance shoes. They're like, we don't want to make New Balance shoes. Because Nike deliberately, forced obsolescence is called. They deliberately make shit because if they make a good product that lasts forever, they go out of business. And they would say it. They would openly say it, admit it, and make jokes about it. All right, damn. You mean these $100 shoes, you're going to force them to be repaired? You know? Yeah. Yeah. I just saw a thing on the Parthenon and how come it stayed up for so long, and it has this special thing called Roman concrete, and it's made of ash, and so the silica and the ash over time heals the cracks. It converts into, like, it itself gets converted into concrete over time. So it self heals the cracks, and they didn't know it when they made it. But that's why Roman concrete lasts way longer than modern concrete. Modern concrete, limestone or something, breaks down and the cracks don't self-heal. So I thought that was super cool. Yeah, 126 years old. Yep. Well, the country's only 250 years old, by the way. This July 4, 250. I remember in 76 when the bicentennial was a big thing. That was from 89. Yeah. So we are almost there. I'm gonna have to kill the stream here pretty soon, everybody. We're about 5 minutes from the end of the stream here. So thank you for hearing everything from me. I am gonna delete this VOD because I got too emotional, and I want to be as much as I cannot control myself when I get talking about things. I still want to respect the historical record, so I will be taking down the video, so this video will not be around for anybody else to see. Nah, I saw the clips when they make them. Yeah. Yep. So those of you who might remember the trip I did before, does anybody remember when I was in Utah the last time and we were watching fireworks and the sprinklers came on while I was going through my stuff? And I remember saying that my parents were like a mile away and I couldn't talk to them. Yep, I'm in the same spot again. Only this time I'm talking to my parents. In fact, that's one of the greatest benefits of moving out here, is through complete serendipity, I patched up my relationship with my parents completely. We were on non-speaking terms. And we were not speaking to one another. And through a lot of strange coincidences, my parents and I have one of the best relationships we've ever had. And you know, they're up there, they're in their 70s. And in fact, remembering the time when I was here and I wasn't talking to them is kind of odd given how close we are now. We are really, really close. So we're helping each other out. They're helping me on every level. I see him every week. And I sometimes say to him, I'm like, I'm starting to think that maybe one of the main reasons I had to come back to Utah had nothing to do with what I thought. That it was actually patching up this relationship with them and getting closer with my brothers and sisters, which I haven't seen in forever. So yeah. So, you know, that's a big positive that I, you know, that I have. And now I'm on such good terms with them. I'm actually making their home address my home address. I mean, figure that one out. I mean, if you believe in God or the universe or everything, the events that led to me being able to be a digital nomad included patching up my relationship with my parents and putting every worldly possession in their garage so they can get rid of them and help me sell them and everything, and then setting their home as my residence of tax residence so that I could become a digital nomad. None of this stuff. What if the entire purpose of me coming to Logan was to prepare me to become the digital nomad that I've always wanted to be but never dared to dream to be? What if that was the main reason? What if all the other stuff was just secondary reasons? You know? What if all of the other stuff, what if the real reason for all this, the universe is like, no, I got you, dude. I literally moved back home, yeah. Just becoming a nomad and drop the digital because I still have to work. I still have to work. That's where the digital comes in. When I'm 65, I'll just be a nomad, period. Yeah. The whole, as I understand it, actually, let's ask the AI. What is a digital nomad?
A digital nomad is basically someone who uses technology, think laptops, reliable Wi-Fi, and maybe a travel-friendly backpack, to work remotely while constantly moving around. Instead of being tied to a fixed office or even a single city, they hop between locations, whether that's different cities, countries, or even continents, while doing their job. They might spend a month in Bali, then hop over to Lisbon, all while keeping their income flowing. It's a blend of wanderlust and Wi-Fi.
I love that. It's a blend of wanderlust and Wi-Fi. I love that. So that's the term digital nomad literally means works from anywhere and moves around. Wanderlust and Wi-Fi. That's pretty much me. I need to find a place to work this morning. I am going to back in here and do this, but I'm gonna go ahead and end the stream now. I might start the stream up later today. I have mostly meetings all day. If I do co-working, I'll just go to Denny's and go to a corner and then just put the digitally sedentary. Yeah. Well, if you're a remote employee, right? You just, this kind of like the opposite. It's the nomad without the digital nomad without the nomad. I was gonna raid April. Did we get a raid? We got a raid and I didn't notice, did I? Yeah, it was April. It's really great that we got a raid. I feel bad that I didn't notice while I was driving. Who are we gonna raid, guys? I really love April. I hope I get to meet her. She's super cool. She reminds me of my art friends. I had a lot of art friends back in the day. She reminds me of them a lot. Music friends.
I'm trying to find somebody to raid. Do. Well, a lot of people on right now. Am I okay? Yeah, I'm okay. I'm just raiding. Yeah, I'm gonna go to IHOP and work, probably. I just don't know how I'm gonna do that and have a one-on-one. We can raid Trucker Dylan. He's cool. Yeah, I went to all right, so we got 90 seconds. I drove to Salt Lake to drop stuff off. No worries. Panomis. All these kids going to school. Cute school kids. Yeah, so I don't know what the plan is today, other than I need to work someplace, and I don't know if I can do it from their home. So I'm gonna attempt probably IHOP. Go find a corner at IHOP. Jeebus Churst. Jeebus Churst. Yes. Yeah. My main things I have to do today is work, unpack the car, and probably get myself back to Logan so I can load up another thing. I'm gonna end here. I'm gonna leave now, so see you later, everybody. Say hi to Trucker Dylan for me. I'm gonna take off.